Hi, it's Kim, and I thought I'd do another video today on something that's very near and dear to my heart, and that is for those souls who are left behind after someone takes their life or suicide. I wanted to do this video just to kind of talk to you guys about it because I have a lot of people come to me with that kind of loss. And I just want to clear some stuff up and tell you what my experience has been, what my story is, kind of like talk a little bit about what happens then after people die, not just from readings, but also from my own experience with my loved one over there in the spirit world. I also wanted to talk a little bit about those left behind and moving forward. And then finally, a little bit for those who might be feeling that way right now. Okay, so this is my story. In 2004, I was in labor with my fourth child with my boyfriend, Mike, who actually had two children with someone else, and we had a very complicated relationship. At the time that he did this, I was in labor, and he said he would come to the hospital, and he never showed up. And my labor stopped, and that day at about 5:30 I got a phone call asking if I knew this guy, Mike, and that's his name, I'll just call him Mike throughout the rest of the video, asking me if I knew him, and I said absolutely. Is he still alive? And so I had this feeling something wasn't right. Basically, he lived for about 10 more days, and then my son was born 10 days later. Our fourth kid was born 10 days later. And it was very hard. It was the hardest time of my life, just getting up every day and just breathing without him. And the day after I had my son, I had to go to his funeral. And so it was kind of a shit show, really. Like I said, I really was struggling with even staying, because he was my best friend, he was my love, and then he was gone. And even though our relationship was very complicated and messy, that's where my heart was. I mean, that's just where I was at. After he died, I had these dreams that let me know that he was around. And then I got a reading from someone on the radio. And when I did, it just gave me so much relief that it just changed me. And it made me feel like this is what I want to do with my life. Like, I just want to help people with this. So not just people who've lost a loved one through suicide, but anyone who is experiencing death the way I did, which was like, it felt like the end of the world. And honestly, before I started doing this work, like if you had seen me, I think right now we're at year 13, or I'm approaching year 13 tomorrow even, because it's Valentine's Day. But if you had talked to me like 15 years ago, I could not talk about death. I would start crying. I just couldn't handle it. And I had no significant losses at that time, other than like my grandma and some guy that was really nice to me that I worked with that died. And that was it. That was all my experience. So everything just freaked me out. So it was a very huge transition for me to go to crying and not being able to talk about death till that's like something that I talk about every day now. That's kind of where I'm at right now. After he died and after I got those readings, everything I read said I could learn how to do this. It was something that anyone could do, and I still believe that to this day. I think to have it as a profession, you kind of have to have a passion for it, but I definitely believe everyone can connect with their loved ones on their own. So everything I read said I could do it. So I figured anyone can do it, so why not me? So since I was already kind of talking to Mike, not talking to Mike like I would talk to your loved one in a reading, but talking to him the way you would talk to your own loved ones through signs and just kind of feeling him around in dreams and stuff like that. So it wasn't like what I do for my work. It was very different. It was very different kind of communication, and I think that happens because of grief, like I think that grief kind of creates this veil with our communication with the spirit world that sometimes doesn't allow us to see the other side because our emotions are so strong and so heavy at that time. But like I said, everything said anyone could do it. So I was like, I'm an anyone. So I started taking classes, giving readings, and I just kind of put myself out there and started giving readings. I started off by practicing on people I worked with, and I have to say, hopefully, I think I've gotten better over the years. But that's the thing about this work is that you never get done with it. There's never going to come a day where I get bored or lose interest or feel like there's nothing left to learn, because there's just as much to learn over there as there is here. Like it's just as much of a great expanse of knowledge as we have here, maybe bigger. I love this work, and what drew me to it was my loss. And so that's why I do this every day, is because of that first reading I got that just gave me a little peace of mind in my heart. And all the things I've done since then, I kind of just wanted to pay that back to the universe, that feeling of relief that I got in my very first reading, to give that to someone else. And hopefully I've had the opportunity to do that for many. People have said that, but still, you always hope you can do your best all the time. So that's my story. Okay, so this is the second part. And I'm going to tell you a little bit about my experience of those dreams that I had with Mike, but then I'm also going to tell you a little bit about what I have seen from those spirits that I've communicated with, that have crossed into the spirit world this way. First, with Mike. Right after he died, I had a couple of dreams about him that felt very real. They were just hugs, that was it. It was just a hug, and then that was it. And then a few days after that, and like I said, I was struggling a lot with even wanting to remain. I had this dream about him, and in the dream, it felt like a mental health ward or something in a hospital, but I didn't know where it was. And I was walking down this corridor, someone took me there, and there's this big wooden door, and I knocked on it, and he answered. And I saw him, and I was so excited to see him, and I sat down with him on a beanbag chair while he sat there and watched episodes of Law and Order. Now, that was his favorite show when he was alive, but I can't imagine that they have Law and Order in the spirit world. So in retrospect, I kind of know he was looking at some kind of life review or seeing his impact on those he left behind. However, I think that all souls do this, no matter how they cross into the spirit world. There's some kind of awareness. But when they do take their lives, there seems to be some kind of healing that needs to happen for them in the spirit world. For Mike, the first thing he saw was his dog. And so when he saw his dog, I feel like that brought him a little bit of peace. And, there's just people in this world that need their animals. And maybe that's, even in spirit, he needed the animal, the spirit of his favorite animal who had died the summer before him. I know he met that dog. And then, so I'm with him in this room. He's watching Law and Order. I'm like, what is this? You already saw this episode. And he was like, no, it's not like that here. And I was like, well, what is this then? And he wouldn't answer, but he said that I couldn't stay. And I was like, but I don't want to leave. I felt like he was kicking me out. Like, it took me all this time to find him, and then he was kicking me out. But he did. He kicked me out. When I woke up, I remember I was laying on the couch, and this Kelly Clarkson song, it was on, and it was like, I'll spread my wings and I'll learn how to fly. Something like, I couldn't be here. I don't know, the lyrics like caught me. And I was like, holy crap, I wonder if that's, and then that was it. And then I went back to just being sad and miserable and depressed because he wasn't there anymore. But the thing is it, it gave me a little hope to carry on. And that was good, even though it wasn't perfect. I saw him and I felt like it was real. And I was reading books and doing all that. And that was before I ever got that reading. And then I had this other dream about him about 2 weeks later. And I feel like this, I don't know how time works in the spirit world. Okay, it was 2 weeks our time. I don't know how long it took him to get here. Could have been a split second. Could have been a millennia. I have no idea. Within 2 weeks' time, he came to me in a dream. And in that dream, he was cool. He was well. We caught up. We talked. We hugged. Like everything was good. It was good. And I got the feeling after that dream that was a life review or something that he was looking at, just from the way he acted with me in that dream. But that dream was very strange and surreal and real. I woke up feeling like it was real. And that was his experience of the afterlife, at least. Like I can tell you from my viewing of his experience, he met his dog, did some healing work, and then he was well, and now he is close to us, bringing us inspiration to help us heal. And as we heal, it brings him some kind of healing over there in the spirit world. So after he's in that room and he's doing well, and I see him doing well, the other readings I've had where people come to me, and they're coming to me because they've had some kind of loss of someone this way or any way, but this particular way where someone chooses not to be here. The souls in the afterlife have some recognition that they ended their experience here. And with that recognition comes apology, comes I see my impact on you, and it comes with them really understanding what was going on before they died, and like they just have like full awareness of everything. And so when they come through in a reading, it's like they can share how they've healed and what they've seen in the spirit world. And they do heal in the spirit world. They do. So in the afterlife, they remain connected to those who they have impacted until the healing is complete. Now, you and I both know that when you lose someone, the healing is not complete until we meet them again. When that happens, then the healing of that particular loss is complete when we're reunited. Basically, what I'm trying to say is that their spirits are around you as long as you're here until you're together again. So they're not going anywhere. They're around you throughout your life, throughout, whether it's 2 minutes or 35 years, they're around you no matter what. And so I just want to make sure you know that those souls, just because they heal in the spirit world doesn't mean they go anywhere, because ultimate healing comes in the reuniting. But the reuniting just happens whenever it happens. So that reuniting healing feeling can come with the feeling of a sign, and that brings you a little bit of healing, or a dream might bring you a little bit of healing. And this is actually moving me right into this thing about those people left behind dealing with this. And so for part 3, I want to talk about those left behind, basically handling this. So for me, it took me a lot of time, like I still have a hard time with it, and it's 14 years later, but I feel like I've accepted it, I guess. And all I can do is use my energy to learn from it and make things better as I move forward. So that's why I do this, is I just want to continue my healing, but help others on my path. Whenever I, pass away and do my life review, I'd like to see that someone else who was hurt like I was once hurt, has somehow gotten some kind of healing. And I've noticed that a lot of people who have a loss like this want to do something like that. They want to impact the world. They want to help. They want to make a difference somehow. And having community and other people that understand what you're going through is so important. I can't stress that enough, because this is a very unique kind of loss. Every other loss, whether it's an accident or health issues, those people didn't choose to not be with us. They chose to leave. And often what I find in my experience is that with those souls that come that may have been drinking or using something or whatever, or had mental illness, they can see through that in the afterlife. And so those things don't plague them anymore. And so they can see clearly, and they're back to exactly who they were, who you remember them to be, not so much the kind of depression or stress or anger or whatever you were seeing at the end of their lives. They're well in the spirit world, but we're not, right? Because our hearts are broken because we miss them. So finding other people who understand your kind of loss is awesome. Go to support groups. Go talk to people. This is kind of one of those topics that people don't like to talk about. They get all freaked out about it. But the thing is if we freak out about it, then it stays in the shadows. If we talk about it and just kind of expose people to the fact that this is a real thing, it affects a lot of people, it happens all the time, that somehow we're bringing awareness to that. And awareness is just as important. The other thing that really helped me through my experience of losing Mike was looking for signs from him. And I've talked about this many times, all the different signs I've gotten from him. 9/12 is a big one. I can go through so many times that I got signs from him letting me know he was around, but it was not like what I do for people in a reading. I think that the reason that happens is that I don't grieve your loved ones because I don't know them. So when they come to me in this kind of healed state that they're coming, or in the process of healing, and they're sharing who they are, I see them as they once were. They are no longer feeling that kind of suffering that they felt at the end. And often there is this awareness of, oops, shouldn't have done that. There is that awareness there with those loved ones in the spirit world, so they come to connect with us. The more we heal, the more they heal. So often, you find people who want to do something for their loved one in the spirit world, and one of the best things you can do is heal yourself. That's one of the very best things you can do, is bring yourself some healing. And don't be scared of connecting with your loved one, talking to them. They want to talk to you. So look for signs, and there are there are so many signs. So here's the deal. I wrote a book about signs. It is called Life After Life, and you can buy it on my website. It's got like 35 signs in it. If you want to see some of the signs and you don't want to buy a book, you can go back into some old posts from 2016 on my Facebook page and see some of those signs there as well. But signs really help me a lot. It's just the feeling of bringing him with me. And I find that people move through grief better if they bring their loved one with them in their life. And I don't mean necessarily like picking up someone's ashes and bringing them with you. I mean like bringing their spirit with you. So if you go see a movie they would have loved, just know that they're there watching it through your eyes. Or a vacation that they absolutely would have loved, just know that they're there visualizing it, seeing it, feeling it, experiencing it through your eyes, and it does bring them healing. So the more you live your life after someone who you love passes in any way, but this way in particular, the more healing it brings to those in the spirit world. So that brings me to my final point, and that is about getting through the feeling of, I don't want to be here anymore. I had signs and stuff to get me through, okay? I did. And I also had antidepressants and counseling and a good support system and my kids, and I had a lot of things to help me get through that feeling. But that's not the only time I've had that feeling in my life. And the thing is that even though they heal in the spirit world, when you cut out of this experience early, you lose all of the rest of the beauty that you could experience here. And sometimes when you get really depressed and sad, and I have depression and all that lovely mental health stuff, but when you get where you're like, oh my God, it's so bad, I don't want to be here anymore. So I know that my mood goes up and down, up and down, up and down. Right now, it's pretty good. In my life, things are pretty balanced, but in the past, they haven't been. And so, sometimes I felt lost, like, why am I here? And so luckily now, I feel like part of my purpose is to help other people. I don't care how I do it. I just want to help other people. So in bringing that into my heart, it's kind of given me a little bit of peace as well. But the other thing that I think is so important to consider is that you miss out on all the beautifulness of this world. So I know there's a lot of shittiness of this world, okay? Like, I get it. There's a lot of really hard, difficult situations that happen to all of us. We lose people, we get sick, we have health issues, people treat us like shit. There's so many things that happen in this life that I wouldn't put in the category of rainbows and lollipops. However, this place is beautiful. Earth is beautiful. The people, the beauty of life, the beauty of the experience of life, the hugs, the kisses, the thank yous, the groups of people getting together, the laughter, the wonderment, the new experiences that you get to have, and the new people that you get to meet in spirit. If you choose to cross into the spirit world, that's done. It's done. There's no more newness, because the spirit world is just energy. So they're the energy of the spirit. So they're not experiencing what we get to experience here. They can come visit. They can live vicariously through us in some way, and in a way of looking through our eyes for just a moment. But they don't get to experience it anymore. And I think that it's very important that if you ever feel that you reach out for help, and that you understand that, I don't know, maybe being with them in the spirit world isn't the solution. It will never be a hug again. It will never be the same way that it felt here. And the thing is they love us, and they will always be connected to us. But if we rejoin them over there, yes, it's all love and there's all that awareness, but there's also awareness of everything else that you've missed out on, which every soul that I have connected with that has crossed into the spirit world because they've taken their life, there is an understanding, oh shit, I missed out on some stuff. It's not regret, though. I have to tell you that. It's not a feeling of regret. It's not a human emotion. It's just an awareness of, oh shit, I missed out on my experience. And so if you ever feel that way, just reach out for help. I always have at my office information for those people who need a support group to go to if they've experienced the loss of a loved one in that way. But also there's so many other things. You can Google numbers like suicide helplines, talk to people, because often we're just feeling really alone in our struggle and like no one gets it. I swear people get your story, like people get it. People have suffered, people have been around the block, and there are ways to pick yourself up out of the muck of life and experience the beauty of life. There are ways to do that. It is possible. It will always be possible. If you're ever feeling that way, reach out for help. People love you. And that is one of the things that I've learned from those in spirit, is that they can definitely see those left behind and the impact that they've left on them and their world. That's just something to consider. But I wanted to share all of this with you and let you know that they're doing okay. And they love you. And yeah, they fucked up. And they know. And so they're still around us and they have that connection to us. But look for signs, look for those connections. If you feel like there are no signs, please know that's probably not the case. It has a lot to do with grief, and the harder you're grieving, the harder it is to get the signs. You know what I mean? And it's not because they're not coming at you, but it's just because we're grieving. But the beauty of spirit is they will wait. They wait and they will push and they will push and they will push and they will push and they will push, because they know that you need to hear from them. So just know, if you don't have your sign today, or you don't think there's a sign from them to come, they're always around.